What's good, everybody? Welcome back. My name is Aiden, and this is Sports Nexus with another video. So today I wanted to preview the games tomorrow morning. I'm recording this at 2:45 a.m. Pacific time, so I need to go to bed soon. But I really want to get out a few videos tonight, just because it's really fun, honestly. And I feel like I'm a good predictor. These games looks like an easy schedule to predict overall, with a lot of lopsided games, but upsets do happen. And my goal is just to have an above 500 record tomorrow. I missed the game on Thursday. Prayers up for Tua. Hope he's great and all, but the big conversation of whether he should leave the game altogether is still brewing, and I lean towards the side that he should. But money is a big factor, and playing guarantees $91 million, so that'll be completely up to him. But I really hope whatever decision he takes, that he can pursue it and not regret it. The Bills dominated. Josh Allen was a star, MVP favorite easily in my opinion. But I missed that game, but that was a great game to watch. So starting off, we have Cowboys Saints at AT&T on Fox. I'm not sure. I forgot. Games depending on the region. I'm not gonna talk about spread as much because I am underage. But if we look at matchup predictor, 60% lean Cowboys, and I do think Cowboys will win this quite easily. The Saints put up monster numbers against the Panthers, and they are a good team. The Cowboys, I believe, are an elite team. However, we still don't know how well they're going to do in the playoffs. I mean, that's always going to be a conversation regarding the Cowboys. But the Saints, I do not believe, have the defense to keep up with that just all-time level offense that the Cowboys have been putting out in the regular season year in and year out for 5 years at this point, almost 10. And I do think Cowboys will win this by at least 10 points. So I'll say 31-21 Cowboys. But the Saints will keep it close early, but around the third quarter, the Cowboys will run away with the game. All right, next game, we got the Buccaneers Lions. I think this is going to be a great game. Baker Mayfield is just playing out of his mind. People thought that he was going to drop off a bit after a great year last year, but he's found his home, and I do think he will get paid after this year if he continues to put out this production. So the Lions are at 65% win percentage, and I do lean Lions. It's just their depth. The Lions have so much talent all over the field, and they have a veteran roster. Jared Goff has been playing very good, and he's living up to his contract. And I do think they are one of the more talented teams in the NFC. And I do think the game will be closer than a 65-35 percentage. I say 28-24 Lions in a close game in the fourth quarter. Next game, we got Colts Packers. The Jordan Love. I'm a Packer fan myself, so it's just really bad right now. I mean, I think we have to go with Malik Willis tomorrow, but I'm not very confident in this game. I lean Colts quite heavily, even more than the 55-45. And we only seen 2 plays of Malik Willis, so you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm just not confident at all. Jordan Love was playing really great, and now with our backup quarterback, and we are 0-1, our season seems pretty bleak at this point. I'll say 35-14 Colts. Okay, maybe I'm being too harsh on the Packers, but I truly believe that we're not going to draw offense in Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman. Those are studs, and they're able to get points, make plays on the field. And our defense is not great. It's not elite where we want to be. So I do think the Colts will win this quite handily on the road at Lambeau. Next game we have is Jets Titans. I mean, Rodgers, my favorite player in the league, still at this point. He looks fine, right? But obviously he is past his prime, and the performances that we've seen in the past are not going to be as consistent. But as that was his first game in over a year, I do think that was a decent performance against the 49ers, despite being whooped quite handily. They're playing the Titans with Will Levis, and man, it seemed like he single-handedly lost the game to the Bears. They did not score a single offensive touchdown and pulled out with the win. I believe with a fumble recovery, or a blocked punt touchdown, a pick six, and in the second half, just completely lost all momentum in the game as a whole. Um, I do think the Jets will win this game, as the Titans defense is mediocre at best. I mean, they played Caleb Williams in his first game, and while he has crazy talent all across the field, I do think that the offense was truly down to him and his weak play in his first game. But that was his first game. You got to give him multiple chances to improve. So I don't think the Titans are very good this year at all. Will Levis is not the guy. Obviously, they're going to have to go get somebody in the draft. And I do think the Jets will bounce back pretty easily here. I'll say 28-14 Jets. And Aaron Rodgers, I do think he'll pass 200 yards this game and really get back. The defense needs to improve as well, as, this team was touted as a Super Bowl contender, and they did not look like it at all week one. So they will need a statement win, and 28-14, I believe, is a good number. All right, next game, we have 49ers Vikings. Okay, this one's interesting because Sam Darnold looked amazing. Okay, let me chill out. Let's not say amazing, but man, I've never seen Sam Darnold play that good in all his time in Carolina, with the Jets, and it was pretty shocking. I mean, he has the best, who I feel is the best receiver in the league, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison, players all across the field. They beat the Giants, who are pretty weak. I mean, Daniel Jones is stuck there. They're not looking great at all. I just don't. I don't think they can beat the Avengers though. The 49ers should have won Super Bowl last year. Patrick Mahomes just took it single-handedly. And against a team just stars across the field, I do think this would be a blowout. Even with Sam Darnold playing pretty well week one, I lean about 42-24 49ers. And maybe that's an overstatement, but man, as this team gets rolling, even with CMC not on the field, they just get better and better week in, week out every year. So that's my contender, my number one team to make Super Bowl. And I believe this game will be over late in the second quarter. Seahawks Pats. Okay. Seahawks played really well against the Broncos last week. Veteran roster. I mean, guys like Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, stars of the receiving core. Geno Smith, he's been playing great. I'm not sure if they're going to give him the long-term deal. I don't know. But they will be a playoff team. Their defense is a top 5 defense, in my opinion. And they play the Patriots, who with Jacoby Brissett got a win over the Bengals. I don't think the Bengals are very good. Jamar Chase just does not have his heart in the game right now, in my opinion, with the contract on the line and how much he wants. Joe Burrow just is not looking the same, and he's going to need to do something because his reputation, legacy, and he's in the top quarterbacks in the league and has not played like that really since the playoffs in 2023. So I do think the Pats are okay, right? They're not going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. I think they're going to be the worst team in their division, but they will lose this game in a close game, right? I don't think the Seahawks' offense is explosive with Geno Smith, so I lean 24-14 Seahawks in a pretty defensive game. Like, this one will be grinded out and points will be scored late for Seattle, and they will move to 2-0. Next game, Giants Commanders, battle the mids. I mean, I can't say mids because the Commanders, they got the rookie QB. They got their guy, at least who they think their guy is, in Jaden Daniels, who played I would say pretty well in week one. Obviously rookie mistakes, not a lot of completions, but his intangibles, attributes, you really liked what you've seen out of him. And the Giants, I mean, they might be in the worst. No, Carolina, but in my opinion, they're easily the second worst team in the league in terms of future, with Daniel Jones paying him $160 million over Saquon Barkley. What an L. How could you have done that? I mean, that was a conversation when he was signed, and now I believe he has 2 years left on his deal. I still think you got to go for QB in the draft. Tank. Do whatever you can because Daniel Jones is not the answer. And right now they're in football purgatory at this point. And it leads 59% to 40% Commanders. I have to agree with this. I wanted to say it was going to be an upset and the Giants will win this game, but I'm just not a believer in Daniel Jones at all. I mean, he could run the ball. I do. He has legs, but man, it's just I didn't want to say it. The eyes, right? The devilish eyes, but his passing ability is one of the worst we've seen in the last 3 years. And even with the rookie Jaden Daniels, I do think he's going to improve week by week. As Ron Rivera will start simplifying the playbook a little bit, give him some easier looks to ease in the game. And I say 24-7 Commanders in a pretty dominating win. Next game, Chargers Panthers. We got the Chargers and the Panthers. This one's really interesting to talk about. Bryce Young, I mean, he might be at the bottom of the NFL world right now. He's in talks with the biggest bust ever because what we thought was his skills, despite his limitations, are just not. We all thought he was a great passer, had great intangibles, awareness, but those are just all incorrect. Shout out Max Kellerman. He misses the easy plays as well as the hard ones, and being short does not help his case at all. He is not mobile like a Kyler Murray. So with his height and his passing ability just seemingly disappearing, he is not the quarterback that Carolina is gonna need or is gonna have in any sort of successful fashion, at least for what we've seen at this point. They play the Chargers, who offense is gonna struggle, right? Justin Herbert, despite how great he is, does not have the talent that he's had in the past. And with Jim Harbaugh, their defense is going to soar and be very great this year. And I do believe that's where their wins are going to have to come from, mainly against the tougher teams. But against the Panthers, who's has a lack of talent on both sides of the ball, I do think this is going to be a blowout game. I say 35-7 Chargers. And the game will be over in the third quarter. Bryce Young has to show the Panthers something, right? Because he is in the hot seat, obviously. And at this point, they are going to need to go for somebody in the draft. Next game, we have Browns Jaguars, another team that's in football purgatory. $230 million. All the cases surrounding Deshaun Watson, they've stuck with him for years at this point, with money just in the toilet, because he might be cooked. I mean, week one, what did he have? 24 or 45 for 169 and just got dog walked by Dallas. They play the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence, who did not have a great game either, but their defense is solid. They lost to the Dolphins, but I do think the Jaguars are going to be decent, and they are going to be a contender for the wild card. So I lean Jaguars here, and not in the blowout game. I refuse to believe that Deshaun Watson plays any worse than he did in week one. And this will be a closer game. I say 24-17 Jaguars. Nick Chubb is going to need to have a monster game for the Browns to be in games because Deshaun Watson does not look good. And if he cannot get it to his receivers, they have no chance. Next game, Raiders Ravens. I mean, back to back games. They have a good team, bad team. The Raiders, they're kind of lost at this point. They're one of the main teams that need a quarterback, and unlike the Giants or the Panthers, they know that they don't have their quarterback. So that might be a better spot, honestly. They play the Ravens, and for the Raiders, I do think they're gonna have to trade Davante Adams at the deadline. They have to do it because what's the point in keeping him if you're not in a place where you know that you're gonna get your guy. And against the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he just can't beat Mahomes. No matter how many tries he does it, how many attempts he gets, where it is, what time of the year it's during, he can't do it. So while I do think this is going to be a blowout game, the Ravens, right now, emotionally, they're in a struggle as their QB is just not up to par to where they want to be. Right, their expectation is Super Bowl or bust. Right, and if you can't beat the guy, then it's nothing. Right, so I say 28 to 10 Ravens in a pretty comfortable win. The defense is elite as well. So I believe they will cover quite easily. Let's see. Next game, we have Rams Cardinals. Okay, I do think it's going to be a great game. Both teams lost week 1, but I'm a believer. I love the Cardinals. I really like Kyler Murray, and he's not going to win a lot of games just because of the way he plays football, but he's great to watch. Marvin Harrison Jr. did not get the run that we expected, but rookie week 1, he's gonna gain trust. He's gonna get more reps. He's gonna get more chances. For the Rams, Puka Nacua is hurt at this point, so they are gonna need more of a run game. Cooper Kupp was elite. He looked like Super Bowl Cooper Kupp last week against the Lions in the loss, and Matthew Stafford looked like MVP candidate as well. Just the way at 36 or 37, just playing at an elite level like that in prime time, it was an amazing watch despite the overtime loss. I lean Rams here in a double-digit victory. With the Cardinals, I think they'll make the wild card. Because the wild card teams in the NFC are just not that great this year, I would say. Right? The AFC has a lot more talent overall. And I would say 34-24 Rams in a game that is decided earlier on in the fourth quarter with turnovers. Next game, we have the Steelers-Broncos. Okay, I'm a Bo Nix guy. I love me some Bo Nix. I really enjoyed watching him at Oregon, and he's playing Mike Tomlin, who's in the hot seat. I'm making a prediction now that this is going to be Mike Tomlin's last year as a Steelers coach. Despite being 9-7, the Steelers, because of how good he is overall, he knows how to win games, but they just have not been able to get talent. Kenny Pickett was a mistake. So with Justin Fields, he's gonna get by, but he is not gonna be up the QB that you need to really do something in the AFC. So right now, I believe he's just like a placeholder. Despite the 57-42, and I may be biased, but I am really expecting a Bo Nix get back game. I lean Broncos here in 24-21 with a game-winning field goal. And Justin Fields, who played well last week, despite the 156 yards. You're going to expect low yards with Justin Fields with his legs. I think Broncos win a close game here that is grinded out with defense. and Sean Payton is going to get his guys ready to play tomorrow, and they will get the win. Next game, we got Bengals Chiefs, probably the marquee matchup of the week. No, definitely the marquee matchup of the week. I mean, Joe Burrow, despite the lack of performance in over the past 2 seasons, really, or I guess season in week 1, he has his Mahomes number statistically. Mahomes won the last meeting, I believe, but if he wants to flip the script in the Bengals as a whole, they gotta win this game. Point blank. Period. Um, this will be the game to really just get themselves the confidence back in the media and in themselves. The Chiefs are just riding high, right? I mean, they're on top of the world. Everything seems to go their way at this moment. They can't do wrong. Eileen Chiefs here. 35-21. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the league. I'm not a fan of him, but I mean, you have to call it what it is. And while Joe Burrow has the better record, I don't think that he's just gonna randomly play better tomorrow in prime time. So I do think Chiefs will win comfortably. Next game we have Bears Texans Sunday night on NBC. Caleb Williams. I'll just say I have to be honest. The media has been catering to this guy probably since Oklahoma. I mean, he's very talented. One of the most talented quarterbacks I've ever seen personally. Just in his ability to work on the football field, but with the expectations of being a playoff contender before he even gets on the football field, and this is like a pretty widespread opinion, was a massive overreaction, and I do think they're going to struggle. I'm not sure if they're going to make the wild card. Even I really love Roma Dunze, and the addition of those are receivers, Keenan Allen. But I don't think they're going to beat the Texans. The Texans are just one of the best teams in the league, in my opinion. C.J. Stroud is playing like a top 3 QB, and while we probably can't put him in that conversation yet with the trio of Lamar, Josh, and Mahomes, but I do think after the season there will be conversations for that. I say Texans in a pretty easy win, 35-21 as well. It's 6.5 spread. I said I was not going to talk about spread, so I'll pause there. But I do think they're going to cover that, FYI. So I just think that the Bears are just not ready yet. Williams not ready yet. I do think he's going to have more than 93 yards, but they will need to make plays for him. When I say that, they got to get short passes, easy plays, just to get the confidence up. Because watching that game against the Titans last week, he was rattled, and they got the win, and they're 1-0. So that's really all you care about. Start anew, get back right. But I do think Texas will get the win with their stars. And finally, Monday night. This one's a rough one. Falcons Eagles was the pick for Monday night. Eagles blowout. Kirk Cousins. I love Kirk Cousins. I truly think he's a top tier quarterback, top 10 QB in the league. But I mean, off the injury, he did not look great at all. Week 1. The Eagles, despite the collapse last year, I mean, we all love to see the collapse. It was a great watch. I do think they're back, like nearly fully back, right? They're not going to be tested for a while, but the defense seems much better. And Jalen Hurts was really good last week. So I do think the Eagles will win. I say 38-17. And this game will be over early. I expect the Falcons to make turnovers. Kirk Cousins, I mean, he's a little interception prone, but they will compete early on, sure. And that's all the games of the week. I do think this was a weak slate. Week one seemed to have a lot more like great games, and these games will turn into great games. On paper, they might look weaker, but I mean, in the NFL's NFL, anybody can beat each other on any given Sunday. I mean that's what's so great about the sport. I do think my picks are solid. We'll see how they turn out, but I got to get up early in the morning to watch these games, man. But I just want to say thank you guys for watching and have a good one. Peace out.